Saving Bikini Bottom, a Sandy Cheeks movie. Now, this is a movie that's been on my radar for quite a while, and for pretty bad reasons. Number one, the SpongeBob Movie franchise as a whole has just been going downward every single film. The first film is great. Second film, honestly, has really grown on me, and I really can't say it's a bad film. And the third film, well, it has its criticisms, it's kinda bad. But with this movie, I knew this franchise was already long gone. The milking of this franchise is getting so bad that we're getting spin-offs of other characters like Patrick, now with Sandy Cheeks, and we even know that there's a Plankton movie in the works. So when I heard about this, I knew this was gonna be bad. And there's a pretty interesting story behind this. Well, mostly it's for people on Twitter. About a few months ago, I think it was either February or March, can't exactly remember, this movie got leaked on Twitter. Like, the entire movie, just quite literally out of nowhere. Someone just had the link to the movie, it dropped, thousands of people saw it, and everyone hated it. It was terrible.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And it took an entire 24 hours for Paramount to realize, oh crap, our entire movie is on Twitter. And then it got taken down, but the damage was already done. A good portion of people, at least in the animation community, know this movie sucked. And I guess they just kept dragging it out because Paramount just gave out the release date of Netflix for August 2nd, 2024. And now we're at that point. And maybe across those months, maybe they listened to the criticism, maybe they changed things, and maybe the animation looks better. No, that wasn't the case at all. In fact, that's even worse. This is the worst SpongeBob movie we've ever gotten. Let's just get into it. Our movie begins simply kinda going for the animation style of the previous SpongeBob movie. You can tell all of that budget just went down the toilet, because you can tell. This gives off a more higher budget camp choral, and you can tell that the animation on that just goes to show. And then we just start out with a musical number. And did I forget that this movie is kind of a musical? Yeah, get used to it. And honestly, giving Sandy Cheeks a movie is pointless, but the fact that they were able to make something into basically an hour and a half based around Sandy Cheeks, this is either gonna go one way, and it's the bad way. We get introduced to this character that basically is a mechanical donkey. We don't see him for that long. That's good. And SpongeBob is here. SpongeBob in this movie is basically treated not as Patrick, but basically the side character, which makes sense because it's Sandy Cheeks. I mean, Tom Kenny, he's having a fun time with it. Honestly, the only thing that's not bad with this movie is probably SpongeBob himself. There's not really much you can massacre about his character in the first place, so everything that was going on with him wasn't really that bad. But there were a few lines that he said that, oh my god, the writer's room just forced into his mouth. Jesus Christ.
And all my streaming videos on demand, I can't demand them anymore!
Quite literally out of nowhere, the movie's pacing is insane. A giant claw comes down to Bikini Bottom and just takes it right up, leaving only Sandy Cheeks and SpongeBob the only people that can save them. And Sandy knows where to go. It's somewhere in Texas, a marine biology lab. And the thing that SpongeBob is most sad about, not about losing his friends, not about losing his home, but losing all of his streaming on-demand channels. That's what he says. I still can't believe that was an actual line in the movie that they just kept. The writer's room, I'm very disappointed in you. Get out. But continuing on, they find some vortex to get up to the surface, and this is the only thing that they really just tried to half-ass with. They realized that if SpongeBob and Sandy were going up to the surface, that keeping the style 3D animated would make it easier. But honestly, why can't the SpongeBob movie stay 2D animated? The third movie was a tribute. Fine. But the SpongeBob animation from SpongeBob 2 was actually really good and probably some of the best animation I've seen on SpongeBob. And I guess they just don't want to continue in that direction. We have another movie coming out next year, but we have no idea what's the case for that movie. We'll just have to see. But continuing on, they get up onto this plane, and I instantly realized, yeah, SpongeBob is gonna, like, die if he's out here. And Sandy just has this spray that keeps SpongeBob, alive the entire time. And we go to Texas, and we go into this lab, and oh my god, it just gets worse. We run into these two, basically, I guess, workers at the marine biology lab, and they have the worst acting ever. Like, one of the actors, I know he was in Stranger Things, Jurassic World, a bunch of other stuff. He was fine, but the other one was just terrible. And then we get introduced to our villain, who is named Tsunami. Get it? Tsunami? Get it? Haha, so funny. Oh my god, I'm laughing. So haha, funny. And then she has a musical number right after it, which just... It's so painful. I no. They somehow realize and know SpongeBob and Sandy Cheeks' name, and apparently just like, oh, they're missing. Who's missing? And then we pan back to where SpongeBob and Sandy are. They jumped off the plane, and now they're just somewhere in Texas, in the desert. And then we just run into some snakes, some rattlesnakes, and I keep remembering, yeah, Sandy just knows karate. Fine, let that pass. That is practically canon. So, and then she gets bitten and then just blows up into this... Yeah, the image says it all. I don't have to explain it. And then she whistles and calls upon her family. Now, this is something new, obviously, in the franchise. We never got a look at, where she's from and her family and everything. And it's something... They're circus swirls, I guess. It doesn't really make that much sense, but it's SpongeBob, so I guess everyone's gonna get pitchforks at me. Why are you criticizing this? But whatever. Their whole dynamic, it's basically the stereotypes. You got the angry grandma, you got the two siblings that either fight or like each other. And then you get the father and mother, of course. And then you got the one uncle, I think, maybe. So we figure out basically what the true intentions of the marine biology lab is. Apparently they know who all these people are. Not sure how, but okay. And they basically want to turn them all into marketable pets, basically, or plushies, or however they want to call it. They want to give them food, make them be able to be clonable, and then just spread them across the world. It's dumb, but I guess it's something. It's really dumb, but whatever. And apparently they need SpongeBob because he's the anchor being of, I guess, this whole operation. So, whatever. It's dumb, but whatever. The gang gets caught up in this high-speed chase. Beforehand, we found out that originally, Sandy, and I just now reading the script realized I said uncle, that's his brother, by the way, used to be in the circus before she took on the role of marine biology. She just wasn't interested in the circus back then. Backstory, doesn't matter, whatever. Eventually, they get caught up in a police chase because apparently his brother stole a bunch of nuts. So, eventually, SpongeBob and Sandy get skyrocketed up into this water park, and SpongeBob tickles people's feet. I'm about almost an hour in, and I'm really contemplating what I'm doing right now. But continuing, they get into the lab, they get captured, obviously, and it's revealed that Tsunami was a robot the entire time. And what I mean by this is that her backstory, the whole way the backstory goes, it's just so dumb. Okay, so apparently back in her childhood, she loved fish. She loved fish so much that she wanted to cuddle with them. And mind you, during the entire flashback, it's just her adult face pasted onto some random child they probably got. And it just looks so weird. Why not just cast a normal child? This isn't even used for comedic effect. It's not even funny. It's not even funny at all. It's just weird. And apparently she got attacked by piranhas and that's why she looks like a robot. And apparently this whole time, Sandy Cheeks has just been, at the time of her being in the Bikini Bottom, this marine biology lab has been spying on her. That's how they know all their names. Sandy feels terrible about it, but, gets thrown in a cage and that's that. SpongeBob gets cloned, and coming back to the scene after watching the film like months prior, this scene was kind of a lot for a SpongeBob movie. Now, I know SpongeBob episodes are known for having like pretty like real like kind of scary images for some children, but this one was a little on the lighter end. But I was like, okay, did we just see SpongeBob without pupils? Like his pupils just came out? It was a weird thing, honestly. But SpongeBob is cloned into a bunch of mini SpongeBobs, and Sandy gets on top of Tsunami's back and disables the robot. And by doing this, at first I was like, oh, okay, that's a gruesome death, but in the end, it's just weird, and I'm just okay. Apparently, her head goes straight into the fish's mouth, and I thought that was it. I thought that would be it. You never see her again, and then she comes out, and then she controls the fish somehow. Don't think about it. It's just the villain's gone. Horrible villain is gone. And then now they need to be launched up into space, and then coming down onto Bikini Bottom to get safe, because then the dome cracks. So they get launched by the dumb acting henchmen, except for one, and they finally get back. God, the fever dream is over. And the movie ends with them putting on one show of, I guess, Sandy finally joining the circus again. Not for the entirety of the time, but just doing it one last time. And that's the end of Saving Bikini Bottom, a Sandy Cheeks movie. And my God, was it horrible. This definitely is the worst SpongeBob movie ever. This is just... It doesn't feel like SpongeBob anymore. And honestly, I can't say this because of, Stephen Hillenburg's passing. Don't get me wrong, there are some hidden gems of modern SpongeBob that actually, hey, that was actually a good episode. But this one was just really corporate written all over to it. It was just sent to streaming film, so I know they weren't going to put much effort into this, and they didn't. You could tell this was only made for cash grabs, and that's it. And they're just going to keep milking this franchise. They're going to find characters to make a movie or a TV show about that you couldn't even think they were going to give a TV show. Next is going to be Squidward. Squidward's going to have some documentary series about him and his clarinet. I kid you not. And now we have this Plankton movie that's coming up. Probably not for a while. I mean, with the cheap animation, maybe they might get it out next year. But the main movie next year is SpongeBob Movie 4. And honestly, I don't know how to feel about this. Again, this is a movie about the search for SpongeBob. There's a lot of searching on run with this franchise. I just wanted to do something different, honestly, with the story for a SpongeBob movie. The original SpongeBob Movie 3 was a bunch of cat aliens, and the storyboards, well, I don't know if I can play it for the video, because I don't know, Banhammer from Paramount, actually looked really good. And I guess they're not gonna follow up that story again. But with this movie, I want it to be 2D animated, but a part of me feels like they're gonna go the 3D animated route. And if they do that, whatever, but if it's a good story, maybe, but I don't know anymore. This franchise is going down a path that, yeah, SpongeBob had his peak a long time ago, and I don't think it'll ever get back to that point. If anything, it's only going down, maybe with a few good episodes here and there, but this franchise just is not gonna rest. Never gonna rest. Absolutely not. This is the Simpsons of children's television. But as well as the show was in earlier years, it's never gonna reach that same quality ever again. And this movie just really showed it. It was just unfunny. Tom Kenny was just doing his job, all the other characters, honestly. And it was just so corporate around it. It wasn't anything great. If anything, I would recommend literally the third SpongeBob movie over this any day. But that's my review on Saving Bikini Bottom, a Sandy Cheeks movie. If you've heard about this movie, stay away from it, please. It's a waste of your time. And honestly, check out the other SpongeBob movies. I'd recommend this any day over it. But I'll catch y'all in the next video. I'm done recording this video. Have a good day, guys.